Hello, this is Leadxpro. My name is Victor Miguelchan, and today we have an outstanding guest. His name is D.L. Miles. He is a Hollywood director, producer, screenwriter, writer. Also, I've heard of he was doing some acting, so an actor, a successful businessman, and one of the most important things is that he is a very successful family maker, a successful father and husband. Good day, DL. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
There are a lot of dreamers in the world, and they dream of Hollywood. You are successful, and you are successful in this industry. I believe that to be successful in this industry, you have to have a certain personality. So my first question would be, who is D.L. Miles?
D.L. Miles is a dreamer. And I think in that sense is to say I'm a dreamer is like I'm a storyteller my whole life. I'm telling my story visually and allowing anyone who wants to come along that visual journey to be a part of it. And goes through my childhood, to my adulthood, to my family and my friends. And I try to incorporate that into a little bit of me into every project that I do. So I would say D.L. Miles is a storyteller, a dreamer. You know, I'm like any other kid who's dreaming of being a fireman or a police officer. I dream of being a filmmaker, and I love it, every part of it.
Thank you. People who are not living in the US, who are not engaged in the Hollywood industry, they dream a lot about it. They dream to get into it. But to me, having an idea from inside and from outside is different. So how would you describe the Hollywood industry, the filmmaking industry?
Okay, without using any four-letter words, I think is a very exclusive club, the Hollywood industry, and it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know. And a lot of really good, talented people and a lot of talented, really good, successful projects fall to the wayside because it's the lack of the Hollywood connection that individuals have. I mean, there's a million talented filmmakers out there that will never get the opportunity to tell their story or present their projects because they don't have the proper connections. And then there's those out there who are just like, you know, throwing projects left and right because they have the right connections. They know the right executive producers and studio execs that can do that. So for people outside of the United States looking in, it may look like a dream, like it's the dream come true, but it's really hard. It's something that you have to be passionate about if you want to do that. It's not all, you know, Tinseltown and glitter and the stuff that the media shows outside of the United States, the country, is a bad perception of what Hollywood is. To me, Hollywood is blood, sweat, and tears. It's that passion that you have at doing something that you love to do, telling a vivid story, a clear story, something that, you know, that has a little bit of you in it, you know, something that the audience can tune into and recognize, you know, that they can feel a part of, and not the perception that it's all glamour and glitter. And I think that's what Hollywood is doing right now. You know, they show the perception outside of, you know, Hollywood to everyone who looks outside in that it's all glamour and glitz and red carpet events and limos all the time, and it's really not that. It's a lot, 18 plus hour days working hard and, you know, just grinding and trying to find work and trying to be passionate about what you're doing. So I guess to answer that question is just don't judge a book by its cover. For those who are looking outside in, for outside the United States, don't judge a book by its cover, because Hollywood is not all what it's cracked out to be. Some of the best filmmakers you will never see on mainstream media. Some of the best filmmakers are on the independent circuits or in the indie scenes, you know, and they'll never get the credit like a Martin Scorsese or, you know, a Spielberg. These guys are like the unsung heroes who are like making some like ridiculously creative, fascinating stories that, you know, that break the barriers and of culture and race and economics and society and that Hollywood would not have the balls or take the chance of doing. So if you're passionate about it, regardless of where you're from, if that's what you want to do, I say do it.
If the talent, let's say either he or she is a DP or a writer or a director or an actor, which steps would you advise them to do in order to at least be recognized?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and it's being debated to this day. Like, a lot of people say, do you go to film school? Do you not go to film school? Do you do workshops? Do you not do the workshops? I myself, I've done a workshop before I went to film school, and then I tested out early from film school because I was already thrown into the Hollywood circuit. But you know, me personally, I like to have a foundation, and that foundation has to be built on knowledge. And the only way you can learn that knowledge is if you go through the formal training, whether it be through school or workshops. And then the caveat to that, or the opposite to that, is you can still get that same experience and knowledge just by being on sets. So a lot of the experience you can get without having to go through a film school, just being on sets and learning, and getting that experience. So that's kind of a toss-up, a coin toss when you ask a question like that. If a person wants to be a director of photography or a DP, pick up a camera and just start shooting first of all, so you can get familiar with the technical aspects of shooting with a camera. And then you might want to educate yourself a little bit, whether it's through a workshop or taking a course or two, to learn more about the aspects that goes behind just rolling a camera. And there's more to it than just shooting the camera. But initially, you do have to pick the camera and just shoot if you want to be a DP. Just start shooting, and then as you go along, you educate yourself and learn more. And the passionate DPs out there, the guys who really want to do it, they do learn a history of the camera, the history of photography, and they learn all the new techniques of how to capture the best scenes nowadays. And it's visual canvas painting. That's what director of photographers are today. They paint a canvas in every scene that they shoot, and it's the best way to do it is to have the knowledge of how to do it, how to compose a shot the right way, how to composition, depth and fill, textures, colors. It's not just like recording something. So I would say, if that's your passion, you want to do it as a DP or a cameraman, pick up a camera, start shooting. And if you feel this is what you want to do and it's you're passionate about it, then learn more about that. Like, really get into the history and learn more about it, because it's only going to make you a stronger cameraman or a director of photography.
So the first step which you are advising is to start the actual practice.
Yeah.
Then to pick up a workshop or a course at a school.
Yeah.
And after that, what would be your advice?
So once you do a workshop or two and you have a little bit of knowledge and you're a little proficient at it, and even before then, networking is always the best key. And what I mean by that is, we live in a social media world. Like, everything now is at your fingertips online, whether with your smartphones or on the internet or on your computer. So you can learn literally everything you need to learn through social media or online, and then networking with other cameramen and camerawomen in the industry, and going out to other sets, being invited to other sets, or even independent scenes. Or sets, to see how other DPs or cameramen are shooting their stuff. So those would be the steps. Once you learn it and you take a couple of courses, you network with people in your community, in that community of cameramen and camerawomen, and you go to these sets and you start meeting people, and from there you start maybe outsourcing your services. Obviously, you want to start with something low, like an independent feature or a short film or a demo reel. That way you can get the experience of working under someone who knows what they're doing before you can take it on yourself. So,
how do you build your set? How do you work with actors, with stunt doubles, with all your assistants?
Well, as a filmmaker, and the word filmmaker, I use that term loosely, because a filmmaker is someone who knows all the aspects of storytelling. But when you break it down, filmmaker can be anybody. It can be the writer, the producer, the director. It can be the costume assistant, the stunt coordinator. All of them are filmmakers, because we're all contributing to the process of making a film. But in terms of that question in particular, I think what you would do, like I would have to grab one particular one. So what particular area would you like me to start with as far as like the scene? If it's a scene as a director for a scene, what I do first and foremost is I think visually for the scene. And I think about what takes place in that scene that to me sparks emotion and that has like some kind of theme or something to it before I put characters into it, because I would like the scene itself to speak before the characters actually speak. For instance, if it's two little girls and I want to show them playing, I'm obviously going to want them in a scene of something that speaks to their innocence, to the two little girls playing. So I would think about a scene that would be good for the two little girls playing, a playground or a park, or even in their backyard with like a fake pop-up tent that's like a princess castle that they made out of towels and rubber bands and stuff like that. They're creating their own little castle. So it sparks the imagination of like when we all wanted to be, not a princess and guys, but like we wanted to be like warriors, and girls want to be princesses and stuff like that. So I want to create a scene first that would evoke that emotion before I put the actors in it. So when I think scene first, I think canvas, blank canvas, and then let me paint on that canvas of what I'm trying to evoke, what emotion. And as far as like the characters, the actors themselves, I normally just do the basics like you learn in film school. I give them the ABCs, what the text is, what your lines, the subtext is basically the emotions, your inner feelings that you're going to be feeling, and then the subtext is the scene that I put you in. And so when I give the actors those three topics, this is what the text, the subtext, and the context is, I give them my personal one that I've learned is the 80-20 system. So if I create 80% of it, the other 20% you bring to it. So Victor would be, you would put yourself into that. The other 20% you would put yourself into the character. And I allow them that freedom so they can be able to, evolve into that character or bring a little bit of themselves to the character. So that's my process, and it's used in Hollywood, it's used in film schools and stuff, but not everybody uses the same process. Some people use different processes, but I tend to stay along the norm, and it works so far, so I figured why, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
So still you use some kind of improv, you give some freedom to actors to bring something in, something maybe new if you like that. If you work with actors from outside of US with like European or Asian, some experience or school background, they most likely have a bit of different style or a school way they teach.
Yeah.
How do you work with these guys?
It's the same. What you allow for creativity and you allow for expressiveness. So as long as I'm giving you enough content and I'm painting a picture of what the goal is, what we're trying to establish in this particular scene, and you know what the goal is, and then I give you the 3 steps of what the character's arc is going to be, so what your emotion is going to be in there, then the rest is for you to bring that to the table. Like whatever process you've learned as an actor, you go through that process and bring that to the character. And then that's a good cohesive relationship between an actor and a director. I tend not to micromanage my actors. I tend not to give them a lot of verbs like be mad or be this, or be that, because it doesn't give them the right direction. It doesn't allow them for creativity. What I do is I explain the backstory to what happened before that scene and what's going to happen after that scene. And then by you knowing what's going to happen before and after the scene, it lets you know where you need to be in the scene, in the moment right there. And that's when you go through the process of training you have to give me what I need for that particular scene.
I've heard of a story that you've been helping a European actor on a set which you've done recently this spring, and the certain way of Hollywood walk helped him to improve his skills and get even more lines in the film.
Wow!
How do you do that?
Wow! Left foot, right foot. It's very basic.
It's not right left. It's left right.
It's left right. Yeah, not right left. I'm gonna tell you something really weird. Okay, so once a gentleman by the name of Jean-Claude Lemire, who's a filmmaker and director, he told me this weird thing about how we walk naturally, because when people are naturally right-handed, we always lead with our left, and we lead with our left to slightly open our right shoulder because we always feel like that's our best side. And in my case, it's not. It's my left side is my best side, so I should be leading with my right foot so I can open up to my best side. So when I was working with that particular person, Victor, I was trying to explain to him to do a Hollywood walk where he would take his left foot and open up his right side to the camera so the camera gets to see a better side of him. Instead of walking how we normally naturally walk, which your body would be blocking the camera, you don't get to see the character. So yeah, and some filmmakers might be out there being, oh, that guy's crazy, but there is some science behind how to walk, on film. It really is, and it depends on how you open your shoulders and your body up to the camera. And smart filmmakers know you always want to have the character slightly open towards the camera versus not. So that's just another little trick and technique that I learned.
Thank you. I also have heard some stories about the Hollywood style of headshots. A lot of directors or casting directors, they might not accept non-Hollywood styled headshots.
Yeah.
What is this thing? What is the special style?
It's really not. It's like that goes back to the thing about what or who you know. So if you show them a portfolio and it has a certain way that it's shot, and basically they just want to know who you went to, what studio you went to get the headshots, because they know they would have did it a certain way. But nowadays with so many individuals that are so proficient at Photoshop nowadays, you can shoot it on your smartphone and send the raw footage to someone who's good at Photoshop, and they can Photoshop you a really good headshot. And what the difference is, it's just basically like a lot of blending and shading and color correction versus like when your friend takes a picture and he may frame it the right way, he may crop you the right way, but if he doesn't use the right filters, or if there's no Photoshop done to take the fine hairs in your face out to smooth you out, color correction with the eyes or stuff like that. A lot of the studios and casting directors in particular, they don't want the shabby, headshots. They know the difference between something that's been done professionally and something that's not. So they don't want to waste the time. And I kind of understand in a sense, but like I said again, the Hollywood way is so twisted nowadays. Like I don't even. I would not advise that to anybody. If you have someone who's proficient at Photoshop and a friend who's good at taking pictures, I would have your friend who's good at taking pictures take a good headshot of you and then send that footage to your friend who's good at Photoshop to clean it up. And then once they clean it up, do color correction, some blending, some shading, shadowing. You have a professional portfolio headshot right there that'll match the best ones that are out there.
Thank you. That would be a really valuable advice for our dreamers.
Yeah,
from all sides
instead of paying hundreds of dollars,
yeah,
sometimes thousands based on who you go to for a headshot, that you just, can pay maybe less than $100 for, or even free if your friends know how to do the Photoshop and take your pictures, And also, that's another good thing is like networking is really good because that's how you meet those people. You meet a lot of good people who want to build their portfolio. Like a young camera guy may want to build his portfolio, so he wants to take pictures of pretty girls and other guys to have in his portfolio to show that he's taking these pictures. And someone who's just starting in Photoshop or who has a Photoshop library may say, hey, I want to use some of your photos and clean them up to show the process that I do on my site. So it's just about networking too, so make sure you always network.
Yeah. Nowadays, networking is one of the main rules.
It is crucial. Yes,
yeah.
It is very crucial.
Thank you. And the last question would be 3 advices, 3 rules of success from D-Miles to.
Okay. Well, my first advice would be stay true to yourself. That's the first and foremost. Stay true to yourself. And what I mean by that is don't don't allow yourself to get caught up in the fantasy or the illusion of what the reality of filmmaking is. So when you're true to yourself, you would understand what it really takes to be a filmmaker in any aspect of filmmaking you want to do. Secondly, is just be humble. Like, really be humble. Check the ego at the door. No matter who you're meeting, who that person may be, they put their pants on while they get a time just like you. So we should all be humble, you know. And third, well, I don't know. Third is different. Where I grew up, we call it staying 100, but in other terms, it's just like, you know, being real, being truthful, honest, loyal, and all those things go under the word 100. When they say, "Oh, D, he's real, he's 100," that means that what I'm telling you is exactly what I'm bringing to the table. So if I tell you that, you know, I'm not interested in it, I'm not interested in it. When I tell you I'm interested in it, I'm 100% interested in it. I'll come on and I'll give you 110%, and I'll be passionate about something. And that will take you a long way in this industry of being 100. That way the expectations are set up front, and you don't have to put on a facade for anybody. Because I'm comfortable in my own skin. I show up and they know what they're gonna get from me. So I don't have to pretend for nobody. So those three would be my main three advices for anyone trying to get in this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your valuable information, for your time. It was Leadxpro, Victor Miguel-Chan. Our guest today was D.L. Miles, Hollywood director, writer, producer, businessman, and the family maker. And of course, the guy behind the camera, Judah Jensen.
Judah,
What up?
I know that guy. I really do.
Thank you, and stay tuned.
Camera cut. Camera 2 cut.